first of all, just me personally, if somebody come to me and say they curse, baby, I'm gonna believe they curse. If somebody come to me and say they see ghosts, I'm gonna believe they seeing ghosts. I don't know, that's just me. So we got a certain scene that I feel was ruined. Well, a lot of scenes was ruined because we saw it in the preview. What's up? It's Nikki. Welcome back to my channel, King Nikki TV, where I give you commentary on popular movies and TV shows. In this video, I will be reviewing the new movie Smile, which follows a psychiatrist that ends up the victim of a curse after witnessing a traumatic event. Now, trigger warning, the entire premise of this movie involves trauma, childhood trauma, suicide, witnessing suicide. Now, we follow a character named Rose, who is just a pretty typical character. I wouldn't say she's extremely likable. I wouldn't say she's unlikable. The actress, however, was amazing, very convincing as we follow her entire breakdown throughout this movie. At the top of the movie, we see Rose is working in a hospital for, mental hospital. And I want to say the hospital is like called Mount Pleasant or something Pleasant. And I'm like, wait, what? I thought it was kind of ironic. Now, she ends up getting a patient who comes in. She is a PhD student, and though I'll get into it later, but I thought it was really interesting, the people who end up, I won't say falling victim to the curse, but for the people in the world of the movie, looking at them as if they've lost their mind, the type of people. She is a PhD student, and she comes in, she's talking to Rose, who I found it really ironic that it would be a psychiatrist that this happens to, because now, when the patient comes in, she's trying to talk to Rose. I pretty much felt like, in my opinion, it just seemed like Rose was ready to just I don't want to say not believe her from the beginning, but pretty much dismiss and just be quick to say that something isn't real or this is imagined. And the patient is trying to tell her that, look, I'm a PhD student, I have a certain sense, intelligence, and I'm trying to tell you something is trying to kill me. I am seeing something that appears to look like people I know, but it is not them. It's smiling at me. And the psychiatrist is pretty much just being dismissive, in my opinion. And the young lady is like, you're not listening to me, which I thought was so just a great idea how the writers made these parallels, because once the curse passes to Rose, it is like a mirror verbatim of their conversation when she has with other people, down to the young lady saying, you're not listening to me. Rose ends up, when she's trying to tell people about this, she ends up saying the exact words, you're not listening to me. It was just so ironic, and I love that parallel of how that happened. Now, I love we have seen this premise many times before. A curse, it follows you. You become a detective so that you can figure out the curse, figure out the rules of the curse, and try to beat the curse. However, I particularly like the idea of this movie where the curse is like smiling at you, because I personally find smiling really creepy. Like, I don't know, that's just me. Ever since I can remember, when random folk just, smile at me, I don't know. I like the idea. It kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies. So I love that. Now, when we are at the beginning of the movie and Rose is talking to her patient, all of a sudden, and I knew, I was like, okay, when the patient will look down, then look at Rose, I was like, okay, where is the moment when she gonna look at Rose and see the curse smiling at her? And of course, eventually she does. Now, one thing I found really odd with this movie, we have a psychiatrist and we have a cop that ends up witnessing someone trying to commit suicide. These aren't just regular everyday people. These are people who I would think have been in emergency type of situations, are trained to help, etc., intervene. I found it really odd that each time someone killed themselves in this movie, no one ran over to try and stop them. It wasn't something that happened quickly. At the beginning, Rose literally stands there for a good amount of time watching the girl kill herself. She does not move. And I completely get, in a real life situation, when you see something traumatic or something that's an emergency, everyone is not going to react quickly. But I would think that a trained medical professional, a trained police officer, detective would have those instincts to try to intervene. I don't know. I found that really odd. Now, I will say I did not enjoy the direction in the movie. The cinematography was nice, but I did not like I felt like the director was trying to do something different, which I can appreciate. I appreciate the director not trying to give us just a run-of-the-mill movie experience. However, I did not enjoy. First of all, a lot of stuff was upside down, and I'm like, okay, this is not Inception. Why is the city upside down? I don't know. It was throwing me. I didn't enjoy it. There were a lot of scenes where the director would slowly move through the room as if we're getting the POV of Rose. And I'm sitting here like, it annoyed me because I'm like, Rose, you ain't got peripherals, girl. Like, I wear glasses. It ain't no glass in my peripherals, and I can still see. If you stand in a room, you don't have to move your head to see every single solitary part of the room. Just looking straight, I can see if something is in the room, right? No, Rose would be in the room and she would literally have to scan to see, like the girl at the very beginning, when she walks in to see the patient, she opens the door, you don't immediately see the patient. She has to literally scan the room to see the patient is to the other side. And there were different instances in this movie where she literally had to like scan the room. And I'm like, baby, why you can't see the room? I don't know. It kind of annoyed me. And then we have a scene where Rose leaves her office, which that is at the very beginning. She shouldn't have even had this patient, which I thought was very interesting. She's actually packing up to leave. We see her leave her office, close the door. The camera does not follow her out of the door. Out of the office, we stay in the office, and the camera just scans, and then it goes forward into showing us the phone on her desk, and then it rings. And I don't know, I did not enjoy moments like that. There was also a moment where we're disarming an alarm system at home, and instead of showing us a POV where the camera backs up and we can see, a full view of what's happening, we're literally staring at someone's back. Like, that's all we can see in the frame. We're looking at someone's back. And I'm just like, baby, what are we doing? Why are we staring at their back? Then Rose is making cat food. And we, instead of, again, getting just a POV of her in the kitchen, we're literally just staring at cat food. And I thought it made absolutely no sense. I was just like, baby, what are we doing? Why are we staring at the cat food? So just things like that, I personally did not enjoy it. I can appreciate when a director shows us something and it's like a purpose to it. It's like a meaning to it. Maybe it's a callback. Maybe it's something that we're going to need to remember. But no, we were just made to look at the most benign things. And for me, I didn't enjoy that. It irked me. I did not understand it. Now, this is a pretty straightforward, self-explanatory type of story. I saw the ending coming a mile away. I pretty much saw everything coming a mile away. It does not mean I didn't enjoy it, but I saw everything coming a mile away. I predicted how the movie would end, which I feel like it should be pretty easy for most. Now, I also will say one thing that I really, and again, this is just personal preference, one thing that I thoroughly hate in movies is a dream sequence. Now, have I enjoyed them before? Yeah, but it is very few and far between. It can be done. I have seen it done in a way where I enjoyed it. 9 times out of 10, though, I cannot stand fake you out dream sequences where we think something happened, come to find out it was a dream. We get that in this movie, and I did not enjoy it. I personally did not enjoy it. Now, I will say, for me personally, first viewing, I did not really enjoy this movie. Love the final act. That's when I really got into it and really started to enjoy it. But as I was sitting there watching the movie, I was like, man, this sucks. But It is a lot in this movie that I enjoy, a lot of the ideas, a lot of the execution, and I feel like this is one of those movies that I need to see again. There are certain movies that I do not care for when I first see it, but then on rewatch, I enjoy it. I didn't enjoy The Ring. I remember when The Ring first came out and everybody was raving about it, and all my friends, because I'm just known as a person who likes horror, was like, oh my God, Nicole, this was so scary. And I went to see it and I was like, I'm not scared. But on rewatch, I actually enjoyed The Ring. But when I first saw it, I hated it. I trashed it. I said this was the worst thing I ever saw. So I do feel like this is something that I need to see again. However, baby, I wasn't paying to go see it twice in the movie theater. There is only one movie that I have ever seen in my whole entire life that I paid to see again at the movie theater. And let me know in the comments if you can guess what that movie was. Maybe should I give a hint? No, that'll be too easy. No, I'm not gonna give a hint. But there's only one movie in my entire life that I paid to go see in the movie theater twice. Can you guess what it was? But I do feel like maybe I need to see this movie again. Maybe I just don't have, I don't know, an appreciation for it at the moment. But yeah, as I was watching, I was like, yeah, I'm finna trash this movie. This is terrible. I don't like this. Now, I will say, some stuff that really bugged me. Rose is a psychiatrist, okay? She lives a very put together, I want to say fake and phony life, which is also why I thought the theme of Smiling was very interesting and how they went about the curse in this movie, because Smiling, and I want to say, I think they said it in the movie, but I'm not precise on that, but Smiling can be a mask, and it does feel like Rose lives her life wearing a certain type of mask. She seems to me like one of those perfectionist type of people. It was very interesting to me that Rose is a psychiatrist, and baby cracked up fast. Like, she cracked so quick. I was just like, and that's the thing that's crazy to me. And like I said earlier, the correlation between her breakdown and when she's trying to tell people versus how she reacted when her patient tried to tell her, I just kind of feel like, how can you tell someone what's not real? Even if I'm having a hallucination, I see it. It's real to me. Just because you cannot see what hurts me does not make it any less real. So I thought that was really interesting. Rose is so put together, but when I tell y'all, she cracked. So I was like, the PhD student lasted a whole week. Like, you cracking up after 2 days. I don't know. I thought that was like really interesting, but it was so much about this movie that it got on my nerve. Like, of course, Rose ex is a cop. Of course, we have that resource. It just felt so typical. Of course, Rose's fiance and sister does not believe her. Of course, she's made to feel isolated. Everything just, I don't know. I did not enjoy that. Also, I cannot stand the fact that every single solitary big moment in this movie was seen in the preview, minus a reveal at the end. And there is a part of the ending that was revealed in the preview, but there's a certain reveal at the end that was not in the preview. But literally every single solitary moment, I was like, I know what's going to happen. I saw this in the preview. There is a moment where, okay, Rose is working with her ex, who is a detective, right? We saw in the preview him run towards her. So it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that he gonna, be presented as, because the curse shows up as people, so we got a certain scene that I feel was ruined. Well, a lot of scenes was ruined because we saw it in the preview, but okay, I guess I'm jumping ahead to the end of the movie, but it just really bugged me. We have a sequence where we think something happened, but it's ruined when we see her go see her detective friend, because I'm like, oh, okay, well, we know this ain't really happened, because this is obviously part of the curse, because we saw this in the preview. But anyway, I jumped to the end. But also the fact that Rose, she had the worst fiance ever. She had the worst sister ever in the history of the world. So we have a sequence where, first of all, Rose has a cat. And I always say they only put dogs, pets, cats in these types of movies to die. Like, literally, that's the only reason they put them in a movie. And I was just like, child, of course the cat gonna die. Now, Rose ends up looking for her cat, Mustache, I think was the cat's name. She can't find the cat. She's already cracking. She's seen the curse, right? And she already told her sister she could not go to her nephew's birthday, but she shows up at the birthday party. And I immediately think, what's she put in that gift? What's wrapped in that gift? It's obviously going to be something. Plus, we see the birthday party scene in the preview. So that's why I say so much for me was ruined as I'm trying to watch the movie, because I can just keep calling back to the preview. Now, Rose's nephew goes to open her gift, and I'm immediately sitting here like, we already know something's finna happen. He opens the gift. The cat is in there dead, but I did not understand why. If this is me and I open up a gift and I'm a kid and it's a dead cat, I'm going to scream, I'm going to run to my mama. No, the little boy picks the dead cat up because mom is like, well, what is it? Baby, I just ran to my mama. I'm not picking up a dead cat. I did not understand that. That did not make any sense at all. But again, we pretty much see we pretty much see the birthday party sequence in the preview when she falls through the glass, etc. But now the birthday party scene was a good scene. It just felt ruined for me because a lot of it was in the preview, but it was a good scene. The birthday party scene was pretty insane, but I was very confused why everyone was just standing around. Rose is cracking up, and this is also, like I said earlier, even if I'm having a hallucination, it does not make it any less real. And one thing that I particularly love, I just love horror in general, but it is something about psychological horror that I feel like is the scariest type of situation to think to be in, because how do you fight your own mind? And my thing is, when I watch stuff like this, I always feel like, well, I'm gonna just act like he ain't dead. I'm gonna act like I don't even see it because I know it ain't real. But the kind of point is, you don't know that it's not real. Rose is really cracking up at this party, and she's literally sitting here like, y'all don't see that? You don't see, like, she is cracking the hell up. But when I tell you she had the worst sister in the history of the world, my sister in real life has cats. I know she loves them cats more than she loves me, child. Like, she loves her cat. I know good and doggone well, if she comes to my child's birthday party and her cat is dead in the gift, I would know that my sister, who I have known my entire life, or not my entire life because she's younger, but you get what I'm saying, I would know that my sibling did not kill their own pet that they love. I would know that my sibling would not put a dead animal in a gift to present to my child at a birthday party in front of her. I would know something is wrong. Her sister, I thought she was the worst sister ever. She completely turns her back on Rose. And there is a link in this whole situation of how Rose is being looked at, because Rose's mother committed suicide and had mental issues. And the sister is telling her, you sound just like mom, like you're losing your mind. And she just turns her back on her. Okay, if I'm losing my mind, don't I need help? Don't I need you? Why would you turn your back on me because I'm losing my mind? It just did not make any sense at all. So Rose's fiance also, she's trying to tell him about the curse and confide in him about everything that's happening, and he completely no. And I just keep sitting here like, bruh, y'all are her sister and her fiance. Y'all know this woman. Y'all know she is a psychiatrist. So if she comes to you and she is literally pleading for help, and for me, it's not even effective. Somebody, first of all, just me personally, if somebody come to me and say they curse, baby, I'm going to believe they curse. If somebody come to me and say they see ghosts, I'm going to believe they seeing ghosts. I don't know. That's just me. But I know most people won't believe that. But my thing is, even if you do not believe that this is a real curse, you can't look at the person you know and love and see that they are clearly distraught. They are clearly scared. But you can't at least say, I don't believe in curses, but I believe you believe it. Like, I believe you feel this is happening. The way they turned her back on Rose, oh my God, I personally felt, I didn't understand it. And I felt like it was kind of unrealistic, because even if I'm cracking up, why would you just leave me out in the world to crack up? Why would you not try to help me in some shape, way, or form? Now, Rose does have a psychiatrist that she sees herself. And one of the best scenes in this for me was when, now we see Rose go voluntarily see her psychiatrist when she first starts to be seeing things and cracking up. And being a psychiatrist, she feels like she's having some type of PTSD trauma from seeing her patient kill herself. And she voluntarily sees her psychiatrist, but after she confides in a boyfriend, she comes home to find the boyfriend and the psychiatrist sitting in her house. She pretty much runs out of there. Now we see the psychiatrist again, and she pretty much, in my opinion, threatens Rose. Rose don't want to talk to her, but she says, hey, I have a duty if I think you are a harm to yourself or anybody else. So to me, she's pretty much threatening, if you don't talk to me and prove to me that you're not a threat to yourself or anyone else, I'm going to lock you up or call, someone. I didn't like that. Because if I say I'm cursed or I'm seeing things, why does that automatically lead to I'm going to hurt somebody? I don't know. I didn't like how that played out. But anyway, Rose is sitting in there talking to her psychiatrist. Suddenly the phone rings. And it's her psychiatrist on the phone, child. I thought this scene was so good. And I literally said, I was sitting there like, wait, which one is the real psychiatrist? And that to me is what makes psychological horror such just a good premise or situation to think to be in. Because as I'm viewing the movie, I literally can't tell which one is real. I literally was like, wait, is the person on the phone the real psychiatrist or the person sitting there? Because we also had a situation where Rose's house alarm went off and the alarm company calls on the phone, but child, it ain't the alarm company, it's the curse. So I'm sitting here thinking the curse is again calling on the phone, or is the curse sitting in front of her? But it was the curse sitting in front of her, y'all. But I thought that scene was really good. Now, also something else I can say about the movie is I am a particular viewer who I love jump scares, right? They can be cheesy jump scares. They can be good jump scares. They can be well executed jump scares. They can be the fake you out. I don't care. I just feel like jump scares are a part of the horror movie formula that I feel makes the viewing fun, entertaining, puts you in the mode of horror, scary. I will say I did not enjoy the jump scares in this movie. It was way too many. I feel like all the jump scares was just way too much. And now, to their credit, they were not, I'm looking in the medicine cabinet and I'm finna close it and is the mirror gonna pop something up? It wasn't fake you out. I turn and look and, it's not really something. Every time we got a jump scare, it was actually something, right? But it just felt extremely repetitive for me personally. And I feel like the jump scares, it was too repetitive, but I can see how they could be effective, right? Because we have a mix of the fact that Rose is on a steady decline. She's cracking up. She's really on edge. And honestly, how on edge Rose was, a leaf could have blew. And she probably would have jumped. So I get it. But I personally did not enjoy the jump scares. And I personally saw them coming a mile away. And I just was like, I didn't enjoy it. I personally did not enjoy it. Now, as Rose is trying to figure out this curse, right? She knows because when her patient came in, she got certain information that her patient witnessed her professor kill himself. So Rose goes to her detective friend and she ends up asking him to look up the name of the professor to see, because I'm sorry, I skipped something. She goes to the professor's widow, pretending to be a reporter, trying to get information, and come to find out when he was on a trip, he saw someone kill themselves. And she goes to her detective friend because the widow feels like the questions she's asking are odd. She's like, wait a minute, you're not a reporter. And she pretty much kicks the lady out because she tries to tell the widow what your husband saw was real. I'm seeing it too. And of course, the widow just thinks she batshit crazy. So she has the detective look up the name to see, and he's like, wait, he had a report. And then we look up that person and she leaves, right? But I'm sitting here like, why would you leave? I'm going to keep following the links. I'm going to be like, okay, so this person saw someone kill themselves and they committed suicide. Now look up that person and see if they had a report, if there was a witness to a suicide. I would keep following it until I get to the beginning or until I get to where there may have been a break in the chain. But Rose just left, child. But the detective was thinking like I was thinking, and he continued following it, and he found one person who ended up seeing their business partner commit suicide, but this person survived and they are in prison. This is a scene from the preview that I thoroughly enjoyed and I was really excited to see. I love this black guy. I love everything I see him in. I want to say I first saw him in Daredevil TV show, but I love this guy and I really enjoyed this scene. Now, even though I knew what was coming and I was excited to see it, I still thoroughly enjoyed this scene. I love when he was like, he pretty much just flipped out. But I didn't think this made sense, and this added to me not enjoying the movie. He pretty much gives her the answer. The only way to survive the curse is to kill someone and make sure that someone witnesses it so you can pass the trauma on to them. So I'm sitting here like, she got the answer, but we still go on a whole nother hour of the movie. I'm exaggerating, probably 1 hour, but we go on a whole nother hour of the movie of her trying to figure out how to break the curse. Baby, you got the answer. And if it's me, I'm gonna have to kill somebody. I'm gonna look for, I don't know, a pedophile or something, and like on SVU when Stabler go undercover in his pedophile ring, I'm gonna go undercover in some pedophile ring and I'm gonna kill one of the pedophiles and let the other pedophiles be a witness so that the curse can go to them. And I'm a psychiatrist, so I know how to, play the game so I can be put in a mental institution where I feel like maybe a lot more comfortable than prison. But even if I gotta go to prison, I'm gonna enjoy myself in prison as opposed to, getting killed by, the curse. But it did not make sense to me. But she just continued on. And what also made me mad, okay, I'm jumping ahead. Okay, I won't jump ahead. So she ends up, the black guy tells her, I'll only answer if the detective walks out because he came there with her. So he leaves. So she does not tell him what was told to her to stop the curse. She just runs off. She's trying to figure out how to do this on her own. And she comes to the bright idea that she's going to isolate herself. She's going to go somewhere secluded, which I thought was just not a smart idea. First of all, the way the curse works is it breaks you down, possesses you, and then you commit suicide. So when it possesses you, it could just leave the secluded place to go get an audience. I did not think this made any sense. And it also didn't make sense because she came somewhere secluded with no kind of water, rations, flashlight. Like, we have nothing. How long was you planning on surviving here secluded and isolated when you did not bring anything? And I also felt like it didn't make any sense because when we got the dream sequence, Rose goes to the mental hospital where she works, where she had to take leave for a week, and she has a certain patient. She goes in to see the patient and she has her boss walk in and she decides to kill the patient, which did not make any sense because why would she try to pass the curse along to her boss? Whatever. Which was played by Kyle Penn, who I thoroughly enjoyed him. He wasn't really spectacular in the movie. He wasn't spectacular, but the character, wasn't anything special. But I enjoyed him. I just like Kyle Penn in general. But it ends up being just a dream sequence, and she didn't actually even walk into the hospital, but she has a knife with her, and Kyle Penn sees the knife, and he tries to get her not to leave, but she's in the car. She drives off, and her detective friend calls her and says there's been an APB put out for her as, being dangerous, and she tells him she's finna go, isolate. But we get another shot that I said I don't like the director was doing. She gets out of the car and we stay in the car and the camera pans over to her cell phone. I don't know. I just feel like even before they showed the cell phone, I feel like everyone knows in the year 2022, your cell phone can be tracked. Now, I can see they put out this APB. She's not like on the FBI's most wanted list. So I don't see the authorities tracking her, but your friend is a detective. He can track your phone. I just felt like that was so obvious that he was going to track her phone and pop up there. Now, I thought him and the fiance would pop up there, But the fiance just drops off the edge of the world. Like, he literally just disappears. It's like he's forgotten about in the story. The sister doesn't show up again because she pretty much turns her back on Rose and says, you traumatized my child. So it makes sense why we don't see her anymore in the story. But the fiance is just forgotten about. Like, he literally just disappears. But anyway, Rose ends up coming up with the bright idea that she's going to isolate and she's going to confront her childhood trauma. And that's how she's going to beat this thing, because that is pretty much, and I called that at the beginning, that is pretty much how this curse picks its victims, is trauma. Now, as I said, the trailer took away my enjoyment of this movie, because literally everything you see in the movie is in the trailer, except, like I said, one reveal at the end. Even things that I really loved, I just love that black guy, and I just love that whole scene with him that we saw in the preview. But like when we see the white sheet over the body with the blood-soaked smile in the preview, I thoroughly loved that visual, but it didn't really have any type of desirable effect when I saw it in the movie. It was just like, okay, I've seen this. So when we get to the end, Rose goes to her childhood home, which is just completely run down. She refused to sell it, and we get the scene where I already know she's going to set the house on fire because we saw it in the preview. So it just really took away a lot of just what could have been much more desirable effect for the audience, in my personal opinion. But once she gets to this house, this last ending sequence, I thoroughly started to perk up and enjoy the movie at this point. I really just was not enjoying it. But once we got to this ending sequence, I did really enjoy this. Now, Rose decides she's sitting in the living room, she's hearing a sound, and I'm sitting here like, baby, I'm not finna go to the sound, because obviously the curse keep making us see things. But the whole point is she's trying to confront her trauma, so she does go towards it. It is her mother. Come to find out, her mother did not really kill herself. She had issues. She asked Rose, who was just a child, to call help, which Rose does not do. She just closes the door. So she has this big confrontation with her mother, and she feels like she is confronting her childhood trauma. Fast forward, she burns the house down. She decides to go see the detective, which from the preview, we already know this is not really happening, because in the preview, we saw the detective, Cal Garner, I think is his name. I thoroughly enjoy him in this movie. I really like him in this movie, and I really like the actor. But we know this isn't real. She tries to make amends with him. She apologizes, but of course, it's the curse. And come to find out, she's still in that childhood home and it never burned down. Now, I enjoyed this ending sequence. I did not really enjoy that just because it didn't have, like I said, the desired effect, because I knew what was happening. I saw it in the preview. Now, for me, I didn't really enjoy this movie because everything was just so... You come across a curse, you don't believe it's real, it curses you, you see it's real, you go on this detective search of trying to unravel the mystery, see how you can beat it. But we're told how to beat it, but we still go on a search trying to figure out how to beat it. No one believes you. I don't know. It was just, of course your friend is a detective. Of course you're isolated. I don't know. I just was not enjoying the ride. It was just very predictable, and I personally was not enjoying it. I do like the fact that this was way more psychological. We don't really get any gore or anything along those lines. It is just strictly the what is the word? Dissolution. I don't know, child. It's Rose decaying. Like, I feel like it's a word I'm trying to think of, but I can't. But we pretty much just see her breaking down and how this curse is affecting her. And I do love the themes and aspects of trauma and mental health that are explored as part of like trauma horror, I guess. I love that aspect of this movie. I love that this curse smiles at you. That's why I say I feel like I need to see this again, because there is a lot about this that I enjoy. I don't care that we have seen this type of like curse premise before with like It Follows or The Ring. That does not bother me. The execution, which is of the story, was way too predictable. You could see everything coming around the corner, and that for me was not very enjoyable, even down to the ending of, I called it from the very beginning, I said the curse is going to win and Rose is going to die. She's not going to be able to beat it. Like, I called it, and that's exactly what happened at the end of the movie. She ends up finally breaking down. Just as the detective is pulling up to the house, he hears commotion going on. He's banging on the door. And of course, she has been possessed by the curse. And he witnesses her killing herself. She lights herself on fire. Terrible way to go. So obviously the curse passed to him and the movie ends. Now, I was mad because I'm like, baby, you ain't even tell him that he got to kill somebody to break the curse. And now the curse done went on to him. That made me mad. Like, baby, give me the tea before you die. Now, I will say that the final act for me was very well executed. The horror in the end was really chilling and really just amazing. I literally had a visceral reaction to the reveal at the end. I really loved the tall, slender monster that her mom turns into. I love the visual of it crawling in her, like, not ripping, but like overstretching her mouth, crawling inside. I would love to just have that as a picture framed up in my house. I don't know, maybe I'm morbid, but I really love the visuals at the end. I love the horror at the end. Now, I can see how other people may not like that monster reveal at the end because they may have been enjoying the psychological parts of it and may not have enjoyed it veering over into like a monster, because before this, it pretty much just is, the curse is people, regular people that she knows. It does not become anything that's a creature or monster until this very end. But to me, it fit the theme of childhood trauma because as a child, you're small. Adults are pretty much big and towering over you. You're small. You feel powerless. Adults come across as giants and powerful. So that is the message that I got when her mother turned into this being towering over her. There's even a scene, I can't remember precisely, but it involves Rose and her psychiatrist, where she's kind of looking up at the psychiatrist. The camera pans up at the psychiatrist or therapist. Is the therapist and the psychiatrist the same? I don't know. But the camera pans up, and I feel like that was another sign of that childhood trauma of feeling small and having someone panning over, like the camera panning up and having someone over you. So I thought that execution was really good. I thought it was smart, and I thought it made sense with the themes. Now, the exaggerated being her mother turns into, I thought it was effective. I enjoyed it visually, and I enjoyed the psychological trauma horror that we get explored in this. Now, I will say, I need to see this again. I need to see this again because how I feel right now, I really feel like maybe I went in with my expectations way too high because I was thoroughly excited to see this. I was really excited. Even though from the preview, you can pretty much tell the setup and how it's going to be. But like I said, I enjoyed them exploring the fact of smiling, the curse smiling at you. Me personally, I just find smiling pretty creepy. So I was really excited for this and how they were going to execute it. I knew from the preview, like I said, it gives you the vibes of like It Follows in The Ring and other movies that follows the same. There's a curse, it follows you, you got to try and figure it out, etc., etc. But I felt like the execution and the story was going to give us something more that I didn't get. I personally did not enjoy the execution. Now, ever since I was a kid, I love not getting a happy ending. I love endings where the bad guy wins or stuff like that. So I thoroughly enjoy how they ended this movie. And I will say Rose losing and being possessed amped up my enjoyment of the movie. The final act, I wasn't enjoying the movie, and then I love the final act. I love how it ended. Even though, like I said, I called it, I still enjoyed it. So once the movie ended, I was left with a good taste in my mouth. And I'm wondering if this is going to become a franchise because her detective friend made mention of there being other lines of the curse. We followed a certain line, but there are other ones. And of course, how the movie ends, the curse passed to the detective. So I'm wondering if this is going to turn into some type of franchise. Will we see Cal Garner starring in the next one, or will we see other lines of the curse? Now, I also feel like it makes sense for Rose to lose because I can see how people may look at the end of this movie and feel like, well, what's the message? Rose faced her trauma and still didn't win. But I think it makes sense for her to lose because I don't think the point was facing your trauma or anything along those lines. I think you're picked because you have trauma. Whether you face the trauma or not, you still have it. It still happened. It's like getting cut and having a scar. The scar heals, but you were still cut. So I don't feel like facing the trauma or trying to get over the trauma per se, because I say get over it loosely because I don't think you get over trauma, but I don't think that was the point. So for me, it made sense. You can face it, you can heal from it, but you still have it. So I don't think it's confronting it and apologizing to her ex and et cetera, I don't think that is going to make you exempt from falling victim to the curse. Now, the entity feeds on the fact that you have trauma, period. Now, some positive things, because like I said, I didn't care for it on my first viewing, but it was so much in it that I did enjoy. I really enjoyed the music and how it would build out, and then I definitely feel like it added to the atmosphere of the movie. I love visually how the movie looks. Like I said, I didn't like the choices of the director, but visually how it looks, I thoroughly enjoyed. I love a good score in a movie. I feel like it can be really effective and really add to the atmosphere and the emotion that's being conveyed, the mood, and I feel like the music really did that. But I can see how it may have been off-putting for some, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed the actress that played Rose. I don't think Rose as a character is particularly likable or just has a huge draw or anything along those lines, but the actress did amazingly in how she was conveying the breakdown, even a little just tick she had with biting her nails and different things that she would do that just visually showed how she was cracking up. I thought that was really effective. Now, I will say this is a typical story, a typical formula, and the characters are very typical. Nothing special, nothing different, but everyone for me was enjoyable. I had no issues with any of the actors or anything along those lines. Now, I feel like what also added to my enjoyment is I've been watching horror since I was a little kid, and I love all kinds of horror. I want you to cross the lines. Like, nothing outside of sexual assault is crossing like just too much for me. I like everything to just really go there and just really be like just sick. But one thing that I thoroughly enjoy is just a good scary story, a good psychologically scary situation, because I feel like those are the things that stick with you the most, in my personal opinion, because it feels the most like real life situations that can happen. You may feel far removed from ghouls and goblins, but something psychological, something where your mind is playing tricks on you, I feel like that is can feel very real life. And to me, that is the most effective horror. Is horror that you feel can really happen in life. I love being stressed and having my nerves tore up, and so I really gravitate to the psychological, because for me, I just feel like it's the most real life horror. I don't think that Smile really adds anything new or inventive to the genre, but I don't think it takes away anything from it either. I think it is just a average, run-of-the-mill, though still entertaining horror movie. Nothing special. Definitely not terrible. For me, though, personally, I didn't enjoy the first 1/3 of the movie. And then when we got to the final act, I thoroughly enjoyed that. So I am going to right now on first viewing give this a solid 5 out of 10. Like I said, I just feel it is just an average movie. I definitely think it is worth the watch. I definitely do not feel it is nowhere near the worst that we have gotten this year. It's not the best we have gotten this year. It's just somewhere right there in the middle. So 5 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching this video, for supporting the channel. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did you agree or disagree with my take? Were you blown away by Smile? Did you have a better viewing experience than I did? I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.